Unveiling the mystical secrets, myths and folklore of the five elements. Explore the enchanting world of myths and folklore surrounding the five elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. In this video, we'll delve into ancient stories and legends from various cultures that reveal the deep symbolism and significance of these elements. Discover the wisdom and magic hidden within the earth, water, fire, air, and ether. History of five elements. The five components theory, commonly referred to as the five elements theory or the five phases theory, has a long and complicated history that cuts across numerous civilizations and intellectual schools. It has served as a foundational framework for comprehending the relationships between numerous phenomena, the natural world, and human existence. Early origins. Ancient civilizations like those in China, India, Greece, and Egypt can be credited with having a hand in developing the five elements theory. Although the precise elements and their characteristics differed, the fundamental constituents of the cosmos were recognized in each of these societies. China. The idea of the five elements, or wuxing, was central to Chinese philosophy and cosmology in ancient China. Wuxing is mentioned for the first time in writing in literature from the Western Zhou dynasty, such as the I Ching and the Zhuoyi. According to Chinese tradition, the five elements are wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. These factors are connected to traits, seasons, hues, and other characteristics. Confucius and Laozi were two Chinese philosophers and intellectuals who contributed to the creation and interpretation of the five elements theory. It evolved into a central idea in Feng Shui, traditional Chinese medicine, and several martial arts and philosophical traditions. India. The idea of the five components, known as the Panchabhutas, played a crucial part in ancient Indian philosophy. According to Indian mythology, the five elements are earth, water, fire, air, and space. These concepts are fundamental to Buddhism, Hinduism, and Ayurveda, India's ancient medical system. The Panchabhutas, which are closely related to the doshas in Ayurveda, are thought to constitute the foundation of all material life. In Hindu mythology and ceremonies, the elements are profoundly symbolic and linked to deities. Greece. Philosophers like Empedocles created the idea of the five elements, also referred to as the classical elements, in ancient Greece. Earth, water, air, fire, and ether are the traditional elements. These components were understood to stand in for the fundamental elements that make up the physical universe. This theory was developed by philosophers like Plato and Aristotle, who connected the elements to the concepts of hot, cold, wet, and dry. Greek natural philosophy, subsequent Western alchemy, astrology, and early scientific ideas were all affected by the classical elements theory. It also appeared in the writings of important individuals like Galen and Paracelsus. Egypt. Five-element theory was part of the ancient Egyptian cosmology. The Egyptians understood the significance of earth, water, air, fire, and spirit in their religious and mystical traditions, although having less written evidence than China, India, or Greece. These substances were used in Egyptian mythology and rituals and were connected to several gods. Integrate and exert influence. Though trade, cultural exchange, and the dissemination of knowledge throughout history, the five elements theory from diverse cultures has affected one another. These ideas started to converge and develop into a more all-encompassing framework for comprehending nature. Present-day interpretations. The five elements theory is still applicable in a variety of situations today. It has been modified and used into a variety of disciplines including psychology, astrology, alternative medicine, and even popular culture. This historical foundation for comprehending the connection between the physical and spiritual realms continues to be valuable to many people today. Folklore. Without folklore, there is no speaking of the five elements. Five elements were the basis of the belief in ancient civilizations. In these ancient civilizations like Greek, Rome, Mohenjo-daro, Egypt, their day-to-day life went with these five elements. Some started to believe the elements as their god. Some worshipped them, and many stories were born about the five elements. From below, we will describe about some folklores passed through generations, and now to your comprehension. Avatar. The Avatar story is mainly based on these five elements. According to the sources, This story had been built around the controlling of these elements. This is based on Tibetism and Hinduism and some East Asian folklores. In these folklores, some special people, called as benders, could control 4 elements which are earth, fire, water and air. Only an avatar could bend all the 5 elements including the energy, aka space. They believe Avatar is a reincarnation of a soul called Rava. When the world is suffering and badness is getting stronger, this Avatar and his friends stop it and make the world a safer place. Greek mythology. In Rome and Greek cultures, in very old times, there were these folklores about the earth element. They believed that the earth was carried by the giant called Atlas. He was the leader of the Titans who fought against the gods. Hercules asked Atlas to take the earth for a moment while he placed soft padding on his shoulders to help him hold the earth. These are the words of the folklore about Atlas and element earth. In Greek mythology, Prometheus is one of the Titans, the supreme trickster and a god of fire. Prometheus stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity. So Prometheus was punished by Zeus for stealing fire. Some believe this element fire is about humanity gaining technology and knowledge. Sri Lankan folklore. Water element is considered as a heavenly thing in many countries. Even in Sri Lanka, there are stories built around water. Since the ancient Sri Lankan culture was mainly about fire, the kings made water reservoirs to help the farming and to collect water. King Mahasen built Minneriya Valley, and now people believe that he has become a god and protects Minneriya Valley and the people. In addition to that, there are folklores about King Dadsena and Kala Valley. Myths and religious background. There is a great religious history and also myths related to the 5 elements. Mainly in Buddhism and Hinduism, they have their teachings and concepts which are mainly focused on these elements. Buddhism. Along with Buddhism, with reference to the early teachings like Pali literature and Katudhatu, have taught mainly about the 4 elements. They are earth, Patari, water, Apo, fire, Tejo, air, Vayu, either Upada. These elements refer to solidity, liquidity, temperature and mobility, and the last is perception. Buddhism has named the 5th element ether as a derived element Upada because of its intangibility. Hinduism. In Hindu mythology, Vedas refer to the 5 great elements or the Pancha Mahabhuta, which are known as Prithvi, Jala, Agni, Vayu, Akasa. Hinduism explains that these 5 elements get together to form the all cosmic creations in the world, including the human body. And through this cycle of the nature will be balanced. According to Hinduism, these elements are linked with the 5 senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. Famous myths related to the 5 elements. There are various myths and beliefs that human body components are related with these elements. As an example, Hindu mythology believes that the 5 fingers of humans are associated with a particular element. So this means the energy associated with the relevant element can be passed through different hand mudras. One is that some believe that the hand mudras and the most common postures of Lord Buddha refer to the power of the 5 elements, but in real life, they aren't about the elements. As a summary, mudras deploy teaching, meditation, enlightenment, and wisdom. Pentagram is one of the common methods of representing the order of elements. There are conflicts when representing in this way. The issue of pentagram being point up or point down. A point up pentagram came to symbolize spirit ruling over the 4 physical elements, while a point down pentagram symbolized spirit being subsumed by matter or descending into matter. Since then, some have simplified those associations to represent good and evil. They refer that point up is good and point down means evil. This is generally not the position of those who commonly work with point down pentagrams. And is often not the position of those associating themselves with point up pentagrams either. Therefore, it is referred as a myth related to 5 elements.